Alright, this is by request. I've had a few people ask about my car collection that I've had in the past. So I figured why not. I'll go ahead and go through my files and my pictures that I've got saved on my computer of my prior car collection, and why not? I could start with my old ATV. If you watch my 2002 redneck video playlist of when I used to go four-wheeling with my buddies, that was what we called the Pig. It's a I'm trying to think, so it was in 2002. That was a 1995 Kawasaki Bayou, two-wheel drive, and yeah, put some excavator heavy tread tires on the back since it was two-wheel drive. And yeah, that was my makeshift trailer that I had for hauling it behind my 93 S10 Blazer that I had a long time ago. And so that's where I would basically haul it down to my buddy's place. We go off-roading in the woods and down along the river. There's another shot of it with the new sneakers, is what I used to call them, for the tires. And yeah, I was always the one carrying the beer, the coolers and stuff for the beer and stuff. Everybody else had the racing four-wheelers, and I was the slowpoke hauling the beer on my racks. So yeah, that's long gone. I sold it for $1,000. Actually, when I bought it, I think my 5th trip out, I blew the motor on it and had to get it rebuilt, so I wound up spending another $1,000 to get the motor rebuilt. And yeah, that was fun. I added all sorts of lights to it. I had fog lights here and some other bright lights here, so it lit up the woods at night pretty good. And this is one of my former prides and joy. This is a 1965 Chevy Chevelle Malibu. And yeah, this is back in 2002, I believe. And that's my old 93 S10 Blazer that I had. I didn't have it for long, so I wound up having motor issues with it. The water pump, for some reason, kept leaking water, even with a new crate motor and all. I hated that motor, and I was kind of glad to get rid of it. Traded it for my Dodge Ram that I still have today. But yeah, the Chevelle, 2-door, had the 2-speed power glide, and underneath the hood, 396 big block. It was custom built, and I wound up reselling this for $7,500. Basically got a hold of it, traded an old S10, which I'll show you here in a bit, that I had customized out, and a friend of mine really loved the truck, and he had this car, and he had a little too much to drink and made the deal to me that, hey, I'll trade you title for title, my 65 Chevelle for your S10. And I'm like, alright, hold that thought. Raced home, got my title, and we did the deal. I even got video of it, but I didn't post that because obviously that's personal stuff. But yep, that's how I got this car. And then yeah, I resold it. I basically had $4,000 in the S10 and resold this for $7,500, so that was a nice little profit. Another shot of the big block motor. So that thing sounded good too, with the Flowmaster exhaust on it, and smooth running car. Yeah, even with the 2-speed power glide for a transmission. This is another hot rod of mine from the past. 1970 Cutlass S from Oldsmobile, and it was repainted like the Gto Judge. And yeah, I mean everything, the bumpers, the front and back bumpers used to be chrome, but they were painted it was like a pine green with a gold metal flake, and then it actually had steel wheels on it, and I changed those out with 15-inch Oldsmobile Cutlass wheels from Delta 88 and painted them gold to kind of accent the gold metal flake on it. And yeah, this one had a custom built engine in it, 350 rocket motor. And yeah, this was out at my buddy's shop that we used to go four-wheeling. Another shot of the green machine, as I called it, 1970 Cutlass S. There's the motor. with the Edelbrock intake and air filter and chrome valve covers. Yeah, it was pretty much all stock. It was stock pistons that were in it, no real modification to it or anything. Just standard bore, and yeah, it would move. It was a pretty quick car. Some other shots of the motor. But yeah, I wound up selling this one for $5,000. But yeah, I had all these before I met my wife, and then one by one they were selling because we needed money for bills. And yeah, it's kind of sad how that happens sometimes. But yeah, this was a pretty sweet car, 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass S. A couple more shots of the green machine. It really looked good with the sun reflecting off it. Of course, these pictures don't show it that well, but didn't really get a whole lot of video of these cars either, and I should have, because I had a video camera that I was, recording my adventures four-wheeling, and these cars were at my buddy's place. I'd work on them here and there, and yeah, just never got much video of them. This one is a collector's item that I bought for $500 back in 1995. It's a 1980 Oldsmobile 442 W30 package. Had custom made alloy wheels. The 1979 Hurst Olds had the same exact paint schematic, and they made 1,097 of those. The 1980 442s, which is what I had, were only 886 of those were made. And the main reason was, I think there was an oil embargo going on from Saudi Arabia, and it wound up cutting back a lot of the muscle cars, or muscle cars were kind of getting faded out at this time because of the emissions and all that stuff. But yep, that's the original paint scheme on the wheels and the back trunk. I added the spoiler later for flare, and it had Flowmaster exhaust and all that. Didn't really get any shots of the interior, but it was in bad shape. The seats and interior needed to be redone, but just never got around to it. Yeah, there's the W30, and had my personalized license plate RVR2 on the back at one time. Had the 442 emblem. I think I might still have one of those in my shed somewhere. The W30 package, which the emblem again was a decal. That was a decal, actually, just the sport package that came on the car. But yep, that's it right there. Side view of it. Really sharp car on the outside, even though the paint job needed to be redone. And I had a custom-made license plate from a buddy of mine. He airbrushed RVR2's 1980 Olds 442 with the Hurst Olds emblem, because I added a Hurst Olds shifter to it from a 1979 Hurst Olds. So it actually had the T-handle console shifter, and I took that out and found a 79 Hurst Olds shifter that I basically incorporated into it. So I kind of, in a sense, made it the Hurst Olds 442, even though they were never actually one vehicle. They were two separate vehicles. This is the original motor. I basically had it pulled, rebuilt. It was the original matching number motor. I even rebuilt the transmission on it, painted it gold, for the gold rocket motors from back in the day of the muscle cars, the Oldsmobile 442s from the 60s and early 70s. But it was the original 350 matching number that was stamped on the block. The transmission had the same number as, all three matched the engine, transmission, and VIN number all matched, basically. So, and I had documentation on that. Yeah, and another shot with the W30 emblems on it and stuff. Even had 442 emblem or decals that I put on the door from I think they came out in the 1983 or 84 442s. But yeah, never got a chance to finish restoring this. I wound up selling it to a guy in New Brunswick, Canada for $3,000 because it was still in pieces. The motor was in, the transmission was out. I had just got done rebuilding it. I used to rebuild transmissions back in the 90s, so I did the work myself. And yeah, I just basically came to a standstill. Again, money became an issue, and I listed it on I think a couple different websites, fossilcars.com and collectorcars.com or something like that, way back in the early 2000s. And I was asking a high price. I was asking like $3,500 on purpose because, again, everything matched even though it wasn't running. And a guy from Canada offered me $3,000 cash, you know, wired $1,500 down, and the other $1,500 he paid me when he arrived. It was Halloween night, 2004, when I sold it. We had to push it up on his car trailer, strap it down, and he was off. Because he originally had a 442, but it was lost in a fire. Apparently he had it garaged, and somehow the garage caught on fire and, you know, burned the building down. The 442 was in it and lost the car as well, so he was looking for another one to replace it. And lo and behold, mine was available. So another couple shots of the front and back. This was my S10 that I had. This is a 1983 Chevy S10 long bed, regular cab. Added a light bar to it that came on certain S10s back then. Had the ground effects on it. Basically this thing used to be red and black, and I had it basically blacked out, adding the NASCAR wheels. They're basically 235 60 R15s, I believe, that I had all the way around. So yeah, here's a side view of it, kind of looking like a NASCAR truck. Added a spoiler wing. Matter of fact, I still have the light bar and the spoiler rack in my shed. You know, when I traded it to my buddy, he didn't care about those, so I took them off. You know, traded the truck for the 65 Chevelle that I told you about, and he let me keep the light rack and the spoiler on the back. So, and yeah, sold the rest to him. Yeah, stop the phone call. But yeah, this is the interior that was all redone. Seats were reupholstered. Dash was reupholstered. Everything. This is using speaker carpet, rolls of speaker carpet like you can get at Pep Boys and all that. We just did the whole inside. That was my crazy friend that I evicted from my mega shed last year, and redid the whole inside. Put a sporty steering wheel on it. Added a Hurst shifter to it, so I was actually taking 5.0 Mustangs with this truck because it had a 355. It was basically 350 bored 60 over to a 355, and of course I rebuilt the transmission in it with a 350 turbo. And yeah, I was easily taking Mustangs. Yeah, this is the motor here. It was all, we painted it blue, just something different, you know, when it was out doing the block work and all that stuff. Yes, this is when it was nice and shiny. We had dropped it in. The belts weren't even on the motor yet, all chromed out. But yeah, this thing was mean. It had 40 series Flowmaster exhausts, and yeah, I actually spun the U-joints because it was a two-piece drive shaft, because it was a long bed truck, and I had to replace the U-joints a couple of times because it was twisting the drive shafts. It had so much horsepower. But yeah, that was really a cool truck. Another shot with the cowl hood, because we had to cut the hood open for the air filter to fit, because the engine, you know, was so big fitting inside of this S10. And if you can barely see in the back, that was my old buddy's Chrysler Conquest that he had. I think that was an 87 Conquest. So that was a collector's item, but it was starting to have some issues with the turbo and wound up selling it because it was getting expensive to fix. But yeah, I missed that S10. It was really sharp, and of course it got attention on the road because of its looks and its speed. And again, another shot of the motors, you know, a couple side shots of the motor. There's another shot of the interior, and again, my personalized tag that said RVR 2K on it. And the interior, all upholstered black. Basically the blackout package is what we did to it. And there's my old Dodge Ram. That was during the pollen days. That was, I can't remember exactly how long ago that's been. I'm going to say 2006, 2007, yeah. Easily 2007. There was just pollen everywhere. So, yeah, my truck was really coated then. Alright, this was my brother-in-law's 1996 Jeep Grand Cherokee. He wound up getting sent back to Mexico. Left his Jeep, and I basically put it up for sale because he needed money, you know, to be sent to Mexico. Funny story on this. I mean, I was kind of driving it periodically here and there, and yeah, I was, had it up for sale, but no one was really buying it. Basically, just these were pictures that I posted for, I think it was a local car trader. I was asking $3,500 for it, I think, at the time, because it had low mileage and all that. Inline 6-cylinder, really clean car. He took care of it, when it was here. There's the inline 4.0 liter 6-cylinder, and yeah, just other shots of the Jeep. But I wound up trading, or actually sold this. Well, no, I bought a '98 Ford F-150, which is still the Ford F-150 that we have in Mexico, and basically traded him title for title since the Jeep was still in his name, and I got the truck, so we just swapped titles basically, and this way I got the Jeep and he got the truck, and there wasn't any issues title-wise. But yeah, added a Kenwood sound system to it because at the time the factory system was broke, it wasn't working, so that wasn't helping sell it. Then I added a amplifier and speaker later, getting more shots of the motor and stuff. And back, so really clean Jeep, 4.0 liter. Yep, there's the Kenwood amplifier. That was an amplifier I had from way back when I was in the Navy, I believe, late 80s, early 90s. And then a Kenwood speaker box I found at a pawn shop for 20 bucks. So I snagged it and then got a buddy of mine to wire everything up. And that actually helped sell it, believe it or not. Adding a basic, Kenwood system to it, AM, FM, CD player. There's the F-150. Now, the story on this was back during the, I think it was 2008, when gas prices were skyrocketing to like over $4 a gallon around our area. And basically, I went and bought the truck. The guy was asking $3,000 for it, and I offered him $2,700 cash. And he took it, and the main reason he was selling it was because it's got the big engine in it. I think it's got the 5.4 liter V8, and my Dodge Ram has a 5.9 liter, so mine's even bigger. And during that year, my truck sat that entire year because gas prices were ridiculous. But yeah, this truck I bought just a block away, $2,700, and I remember my wife was not happy about it, but it paid off. This is the 3-door style. The side here is the extended cab, but there was no door on this side. The door was actually on the passenger side. I don't know why they did just that partial, why they didn't do a quad cab. They basically did a tri-cab setup on this year for the 1998 Ford F-150. And it was a 4-wheel drive, which he wanted, because again, in Mexico, 4-wheel drive is prized. There's Melanie when she was, let's see, I want to say 8 or 9. And we bought this truck because we were getting ready to go on a road trip in September 2008, moving the family back to Mexico. So that was another reason, when I bought the truck, that it actually worked out. So, yeah, she liked the big truck. She thought it was really cool. And it's still running in Mexico. It's got over 333,000 some odd miles on it. Still running strong down there. Yeah, F-150 XLT, Triton V8. Yeah, there's Melanie again, and so yeah, I was working on it in the back of my house here. This was before the addition was built, so I was kind of doing some work to it, making sure it would make the road trip, and had some good tires on it and everything. 4-wheel drive, again working fine. There's the inside with the 3 doors open, or the 2 doors on the passenger side, but basically the same amount of space as my Dodge Ram, 99 Dodge Ram has. So enough leg room if you're short, but if you're long, the passenger seat definitely needs to move up. So yeah, that's another niece, Liz, in Mexico. There's Melanie taking over the driving. So yeah, just more random pictures. Yeah, she loved the truck, and like I said, still running strong down there in Mexico. So there you go, side-by-side views of my Dodge and the Ford F-150. So it was a bigger truck. Well, it sat taller because it was 4-wheel drive. Mine was not 4-wheel drive. I just put the off-road looking tires, knobby tires on it, for looks, and the brush guard and all that. I added the brush guard to my Dodge back in 2005, I think, because I hit a deer on the way to work at my old job that I had, and it, luckily I could still drive the truck, but it concaved the bumper in and all that. So, and I think it was like a 6-point buck that I nailed and sent it flying like three 360 turns, and of course I just kept on going. My redneck buddy was like, "You should have put that in the back of your truck. We'd have had some backstrap in the parking lot." I'm like, oh, I wasn't thinking about that at the time. So, yep. So there's the Dodge Ram, 99 Dodge Ram, and the 98 Ford F-150 4x4. So, yeah, I think that was during, when I was doing some projects at the house. My outdoor fireplace was being built at that time. And backside of the truck, of both trucks actually, my Dodge Ram and the Ford F-150. That's like right around, again, a block away from my house. The guy had it for sale. Didn't realize how close he was until I called him, and he said he was where he was located. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a block away from you. Okay, I'll come walking up," and paid him cash, and then drove the truck home. Half a block with no insurance, and then I just parked it for a while. But yeah, definitely a solid truck, and still running good to this day down in Mexico. So there's my Dodge Ram when I first bought it, January 2004, and then the following month we had a major snowstorm, like 18 inches of snow, and that was when it had the original factory wheels and original grille before I started doing all my modifications to it. 2004, it was like 3 weeks before the Panthers made their first Super Bowl run, and of course lost to the Patriots. That was Super Bowl 38. So yeah, and another shot of the pollen from one of our vicious spring seasons of pollen in the trees and stuff. Alright, this is a 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan I bought for $500. Now I'm just showing this because it's in my car collection. Basically the problem with it had a bad transmission, and also had suspension. I think some bushings wore out because it was making a lot of rattling sounds whenever you hit bumps in the road. But I bought this for $500 and had a bad transmission, so I got the transmission rebuilt for $1,300, I believe. And it also needed brakes, so basically I put $1,500 in it for $2,000 total that I had in the van. Put it up for sale, and actually had a dent in the back. I got that popped out with a plunger, and I didn't do that. I didn't record that or anything, but yeah, I popped that out pretty easily. Clean interior, 3-row seats. My wife was actually wanting to keep this van and take it to Mexico, and I was dead set against it because I had our Durango. I'd already bought our 2001 Dodge Durango the year before, and I was like, no, the Durango is going to be a better vehicle for Mexico because of the roads, and with the suspension as much noise as it was making, I wasn't going to take a chance. So I put this one up for sale, sold it to a Latino couple out of Charlotte for $3,200. So I made a $1,200 profit on this one. Once I showed the receipt for the transmission work and all that stuff, hit 3.3 liter V6. It was a pretty strong motor. Yeah, I was glad to just sell it. I really just had no plans on taking this to Mexico. I had good tires on it and everything. The tires were basically brand new. But when the transmission went out, the guy was like, "I don't want to deal with it anymore." So I offered him $500 cash, and he took it. So, but yeah, it was, it drove good, ran good. I actually had a guy drive all the way from Myrtle Beach because I had it advertised, I think, on one of those Car Trader magazines online, and he thought there was some weird ticking noise coming out of the motor. It was probably a lifter, but he thought it was something deep in the motor, like a rod or something, which it wasn't. I mean, it had a fresh oil change and everything. I mean, there was no issue with the motor at all. So he wound up not getting it, but like I said, a Latino family from Charlotte came down and bought it, and they were real happy with it. So yeah, just multiple pictures I took of this thing when I was selling it. So 3.3 liter again. Yeah, there's the dent. Got it popped out. And there's the Durango. Yeah, the history of this, I think, I probably got some pictures somewhere in here. I'll have to dig them up. The Durango I paid $1,300 for up in Charlotte because it would not pass emissions. Of course, if you guys follow my channel for a long period of time, we've had this Durango since 2009. I worked on it for a year, and then we drove it, let's see, yeah, we bought it at the end of 2009. I worked on it for a year, and then we drove it to Mexico the latter part of November of 2010. Paid $1,300 for it because it had the engine problems, plus it was beat up. I mean, it had a lot of body damage. I mean, there were dents all over the back window. I even made a separate video of the 2001 Dodge Durango project that you can look up on my channel, and you can see all the damage. I might be able to pull them up in this video, but if not, you know, you can just check out that video because it shows all the before and after footage. And yeah, I added tires to it, got it repainted, basically put about $3 grand into this thing. Intake work, exhaust work, because it, you know, muffler was kind of, I think the catalytic converter was clogged up. Replaced it and added a Flowmaster exhaust to it, which is still on there today. Added a roof rack, which I'll show you here in a bit. But yeah, the BF Goodrich tires, all terrain, those are 8-plies that I bought special ordered from treadright.com, and they're still on the Durango. Yeah, it's been down there now almost 10 years, and those tires are still on there, holding strong. But yeah, the thing looks sharp once we got the paint job done. And my buddies at Mako, had places estimate about $2,000 to fix all the damage that was done. My buddies at Mako did it for $800. And I was happy with that because I knew taking it to Mexico would wind up getting damaged or, you know, keyed and all that. So, yep. So that's what it looked like after, you know, the new paint job. And of course with the tires on it and stuff, and really turned out good. So, yep, there's the roof rack that I put on it. This was a Safari Baja roof rack that I bought from Summit for my old 93 S10 Blazer. And when the motor locked, you know, basically the motor was blown on it after a while, you know, I got rid of it. I took the rack off and saved it. And when I came across the Durango, I was like, yeah, this would be a perfect fit for it. And it had the universal mounts, so I just mounted it to the ladder rack that was on it, you know, and to those brackets, and worked perfect. So looked pretty sharp too with the Baja lights. I got all that wired up. My buddy at his shop wired everything up for me so I could run the Baja, the off-road lights if I wanted to. So really turned out nice. That's what it looked like before. I thought I had the pictures here. Yeah, see, this is the keyed and hammer dents. From what I understand, it was the victim of a spousal fight. The wife, I don't know if the husband was cheating on the wife or how it happened, but basically the vehicle was trash as a result of this domestic fight. So, you know, that's another reason that I bought it for so cheap. You know, already had engine issues, burning oil in the #1 cylinder, which it still has today, but had all these dents on it. You know, even on this side, the damage was done to the top of the passenger side door, where the door wouldn't close right. Of course, the tires were bald. That's another reason that I bought the tires. Interior was in pretty decent shape. I mean, you know, it's got a nice rip on it now, but overall, the interior hasn't changed much. Still the same. You know, that vinyl interior, whatever you want to call it. The third row seat and all that, which still works. Yeah, there's the dents that I had put some primer in, sanded out the rust, put the primer in, and to try to stop the rust. And but yeah, it was basically totaled by the insurance company, because when we got the title, it said salvage on it. It had a salvage title. Yeah, dents on the back, so yeah, the insurance company had written it off. That's what the motor looked like originally, 4.7 liter. And I took this intake out and put a dual snorkel style in it at a later date. Yeah, getting a shot of the radiator. Had the transmission cooler down here, the the air conditioning compressor, the radiator. So this thing was built for you know, handling off-road. We were already starting to load stuff up in it because we were preparing for the road trip in 2010. It took 3 days, 2,200 miles, and the Durango made it with flying colors. But yeah, those are all before shots. There's the intake mod that I did, 4.7 liter. You know, I added the decal to it under the hood and even on the I put those badges on the front quarter panels. Another shot of the off-road all-terrain BF Goodrich tires. Those were 265 70 R16s, I believe. Yeah. And then add a little third brake light there on the hitch, but I took that off. That's actually on my Dodge Ram now. And again, more shots of the paint job. You know, the 4.7 liter badge that I added on the front fenders there, even on the back tailgate. So 4x4 off-road, I added those decals later as well. And there's the air mod without the decal. It looks good, you know. I mean, yeah, it's sucking in hot air, but it's not a big deal. You know, it's just like the muscle cars from back in the 60s. You know, sucking in hot air. Didn't really affect the performance at all. Yeah, another air breather that I put for the PCV valve for cross flow inside the engine. And then added the different taillights because they were busted, you know, from the spousal abuse. With the roof rack as well. This is when we got the basket because we were going to be hauling so much stuff. I bought this basket for 50 bucks on Amazon. And I'll show you the pics here in a bit where we got the whole entire Durango loaded up. Yeah, another shot of the basket. Yeah, that was real handy. It's still in Mexico, by the way. Couldn't bring it home. And I added some reflective tape again, because you know, especially in Mexico, how they drive down there. You want to. Sometimes the brake lights work, sometimes they don't. Actually, they're going to be blocked because of the suitcases. So that's another reason I put that tape on there. So yeah, I actually added a 3-inch lift kit to it later. That's a shot of the front with the basket on the back. Yeah, there's a shot of the Durango during one of our ice storms. That was back probably February of 2010 would be my guess. And yeah, come to find out the four-wheel drive wasn't working. I thought it was, but it wasn't, because it's got a little box control on the dash, and apparently it wasn't working. Once I discovered that it wasn't working, I had to find one, and I think I found one on eBay for like 60 bucks. And got it popped in there, and you know, of course it works fine now. Yeah, there's a shot of it with the ice and snow when I was trying to drive it, because I didn't want to drive our new van. Even my trucks, I knew it was two-wheel drive. I'd rather drive the Durango because it was already beat up in case we slipped and slide on the road. Okay, here's a shot of the Durango all loaded up with suitcases on top, including a bike for my late brother-in-law, and of course the basket with 4 suitcases on it. And each of those suitcases probably weighed close to 100 pounds, because we totally loaded them down with merchandise for our boutique that we had in Iguala, Mexico. Another shot of everything loaded up inside the Durango. I don't think I ever made a mention of that during the original video, but I had a generator, like 3 computers, 2 air conditioners, along with a whole bunch more clothes and merchandise. And I had the 3-inch lift kit on this thing at the time, but once we put a lot of the weight in there, it was squatting down a lot. So that's when I added the 3-inch lift kit specifically for because it was squatting. So you know, raising it up 3 inches and adding all the weight to the Durango basically balanced it out. And you can see how level it is. It's not even squatting that bad in the back anymore. There it is. This is a great shot of all the suitcases that we had completely loaded up with merchandise. And like I said, these suitcases weighed probably close to 100 pounds each. The basket itself was rated at 500 pounds. So only issue we had was when I think we were where were we? I think Mobile, Alabama. The exhaust actually melted the green strap that I had strapped to the basket, and I noticed the suitcases, luckily I had that extra string on there because they were starting to come loose, and I could see them kind of moving a little bit more than normal. And when we pulled off for gas, I realized that the strap had been melted by the exhaust, so I had to do some modification to that to fix it. But everything made it safe and sound to Mexico. Like I said, 2,200 miles from my house all the way to Iguala, Mexico in 3 days. And there's another shot of the 4 suitcases on the back along with suitcases on the top for the just basically loading it up with everything that we could. But yep, so that 3-inch lift kit worked out perfect for this trip, because it was weighted down. There's our Toyota Sienna we bought. This was actually taken on the day we bought it. And as you can see, it doesn't have the fancy wheels. It had the standard hubcaps, which of course I hated. And of course they were saying, oh, we could put the aluminum alloys on there, and of course they were going to jack the price up like almost another $1,000. And we're like, nah, that's okay. We'll just go ahead and drive it the way it is. And I wound up finding the Toyota Camry 25th Anniversary Edition alloys. I think I found them on eBay, as a matter of fact. And I paid $200 for the set of 4. So $50 a wheel, which was really a good deal, because these things are retailing over $100 a piece. But yeah, they had the standard hubcaps, and I remember I sold the hubcaps and I sold the steel wheels to a guy in Canada, because again, up in Canada, everything is, in the wintertime, they use the salt like real heavily up there to melt the snow and ice off the roads. So steel wheels don't last very long. So he bought the set as a backup for his van. And there's the new alloy wheels that I had put on. They had arrived, and got them added on, got them armor-alled up. Well, those things look sharp without the brake dust on them. And I still have those wheels on there today. They're the 15-spoke Toyota Camry aluminum alloys for 2007. Yeah, it was actually 2007 Toyota Camry wheels. So yeah, it looks a lot better with those wheels on there. It adds a little bit of flair, I think. So, but yeah, the van's still doing good. Still closing in on 69,000 miles. 69,000 miles, yeah. Still got low mileage for being over 10 years old. And again, my 442. Alright, so this is my little photo album that I have. I think there's some pictures in here that I don't have on the computer. So, yeah, there's my 442, some of the original photos of them before I scanned them and put them on the, saved them on the hard drive. This is the 442 when from the original owner that had it and gave me the pictures. And this was wintertime, when my old house that I used to live in before I bought my house that I'm at now. So yeah, I was driving this collector's edition 442 in the winter snow and ice. Yeah, wasn't the brightest thing to do. This was at a car show in 1994 in Greensboro, North Carolina, when I was, showing, basically kind of driving it up there. And it was the only 442 up there. There was a 79 Hurst-Olds up there. Talked to the guy, and of course I showed him my 442 car and the Hurst-Olds shifter that I put in it. So he was kind of impressed with that. And yeah, then there's another shot. This is, I think, in the fall of 2002. And again, more shots of the 442. I hate that I had to sell this thing. I really liked it. I really wanted to restore it, but again, marriage and bills wound up kind of taking things over. So again, there's the shot of the front, and then of course the back with the personalized tag. And then the original motor, the gold motor, when I had it out, I painted it all gold to match the car. It was pretty much all original. I was trying to keep it all original too, again, to keep the value. There's the green machine that I bought in 95. Yeah, I think I bought that in 95. And if I'm not mistaken, I paid like $2,000 for it. $2,500. I think he was asking $2,500. I had $2,000 cash, and the guy took it. I was surprised. And the paint job was in real good shape. I guess he had just got done painting it, the dark pine green color. And of course the pictures from the sunlight and really amplified the green color. That's why I nicknamed it the Green Machine. So yeah, I miss all my cars. One day maybe I'll have another hot rod. But yeah, that's the motor inside the Green Machine, the 350 that was built with forged racing pistons and all that, and yeah, it really sounded good too. With the, I think I had a cam in there. I can't remember the specs on the cam, but yeah. And then there's my S10. This is when we were working on it. Yeah, that's why I don't even have these scanned on my computer. When we had already pulled the V6 motor, it was a 2.8 liter. We pulled it out, and we're getting it prepped and modified to put the V8 engine in it, priming it up and everything, getting all the oil and residue and stuff off of it. There's the 350 board 60 over, already put together and painted up and all to get ready to be dropped into the truck. And yeah, that thing, boy, that was a mean motor too. Yeah, that's when we got it in. We just put some steel valve covers on it temporarily to kind of keep trash from getting into the motor. And yeah, there's my buddy Jay. We're working on the truck during one of the snowstorms. We kind of brought us to a standstill when we were trying to put the motor in. This was again, I think 2002, around that time frame. And then there it is with the new paint job and all painted up, and the V8 motor was in it at this time. So yeah, there's a shot with the completed motor inside of it. Had to use electric fans. We couldn't fit a radiator fan on the water pump. There just was no room in there. And yeah, another shot with the V8 motor, all chromed out, Edelbrock 600 carburetor. So that's what it looked like originally. It's the red, and I had the light rack on it. And then I took it to my buddies at Mako, and they're the ones that painted it up solid black to make it look just like that. And at that time I had some Corvette rallies. I had 16x7s on the front, 16x8s on the back. Those are the wheel widths. You know, 7-inch wide on the front, 8-inch wide on the back, and a little peak of the green machine there on the left. So yeah, that's when we were working on the interior. Everything was red on the inside. That's what it all looked like before modding it up to make it all black. So we put all new black carpet in it, took the seats out, and they were getting reupholstered at this time. And we already got the door panels done in solid black there. And then we put a stereo system in it, of course. You know, at that time I was kind of into the stereo systems. So nice amplifiers, a couple of them. And then again, more mod work to the S10, the console, just painting everything up with or covering it all up with the speaker carpet, the black speaker carpet there. And that's when it was all complete, all blacked out on the inside. And of course we didn't get the paint, didn't paint the door jambs there. That was going to be more money. And then again, there's the plate, the RVR 2K that I had for the truck back then. So another shot of the V8 engine before the belts were put on. That was basically when we had just dropped it in, and wanted to get some shots of it. We were going to try to hook the air conditioning up, but that just wasn't possible because it was running too hot even without it. So we never even hooked up the AC to it again. And then again, there's my 65 Chevelle Malibu. Front shot, and then a back side shot, and that had the 16x7 Corvette rally wheels on it. And there's a good shot of the 396 big block, candy apple red, all chromed out. And this only picture I got of my 1978 Cutlass that I bought when I was in the Navy in Charleston, and I had it parked underneath the carport, and that had a 350 in it. That's what I used to drive back and forth from Charleston to home when I was on leave. Usually on weekends I just drive home and then drive back. But yeah, that was my daily driver. And yeah, I guess that's it. I got a few shots of some Oldsmobiles from the car show here. There's an official pace car that was at the Greenville Oldsmobile car show back in 1994. So that one I believe was a 71 or 72 pace car. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, that was sharp. Convertible too on top of that. I know that's worth some serious cash. Then there's the back side of that. It's a Hurst Olds, that's what it was, not the 442, but the Hurst Olds. the big emblems and racing stripes, convertible top. And then there's another official pace car that had the cowl induction hood. I believe that was a 73 model. Yeah. So yeah, just a few other pictures. There's a Cutlass like mine, like my 78. Was this guy? He called his a 542 because it had a 5-speed in it. He added a 5-speed to it, and it was kind of the laughing stock of the show, because he actually entered it in and tried to put it off as authentic when it was obviously a clone. I guess it was like a Muncie 5-speed that he put into it with a 350 engine that was in the car already, and called it a 542. So yeah, needless to say, that was kind of the joke of the car show. But this is a nice looking, I believe that was a 70, same year as my green machine. I had the paint schematics, and I was actually thinking about, when I saw this, when I got the green machine, I was going to add the spoiler that's on the back of it and add the sport stripes on the side, but I just never got around to it. So, and there you go, there's my little car collection. So yep. And yeah, my folder of all my vehicles from back in the day. Yeah, there's my parents' 51 Chevy. I might as well show you that. Some pictures of it. Let me get the camera back up here. Hold on. There we go. Like that. Okay. So yep, 51 Chevy that my parents still have. Foggy morning. Black and red. Now apparently I was told that this is not the original paint scheme that came on these trucks, but I don't know. I've seen others like this. So either it is or it isn't. I don't know. Now this was a local car show sometime in the past. I don't remember. Some other cars. Looks like a 57 Chevy. A nice, probably a 30s, probably a Model T or something. Antique auto. There's a Chevelle, looked a lot like mine. Almost same year. I don't know if that's a 65 or maybe a 66 or 67. And of course one of those SR trucks, SRT trucks, I think. This was nice. This was a Pontiac Gto. I love that car. That was sharp. Black with the red and yellow racing stripes. And somebody had their Jeep out there with no doors. Yeah, there you go, back side of the GTO with the spoiler on it. Yeah, that was a sharp car. I don't know what motor it had, probably either a 350 or a 400, maybe a Trans Am motor, I don't know. That looks like an old, maybe a Wildcat, I can't remember. And that's actually a friend of ours. He has a model, I think it's a Model A. I believe that's what it is. Nice coupe. And there's my parents' truck. Entered in the car show for, and I think they won a trophy for most original. So, yeah, some other cars. Yeah, my dad in the truck. It's pretty cool. Side by side with the with the Model A. That's me and my mom visiting them at the car show. And there's the trophy. Yeah, most original trophy, and I think for the year, I think his was the only year for it was in the car show, so he got a trophy. That's pretty cool. And let's see, yeah, my brother's Firebird. Still working on this thing. Still not done. 73 Pontiac Firebird. It's got an Oldsmobile 455. No, it's Pontiac 455 under the hood. The 400 turbo transmission. That's the inside of it, pretty much all original. There's the 455 with the Edelbrock air cleaner on it. Yeah, I've heard that thing, boy, it sounds good. I don't even think it has any exhaust on it, so it's just straight pipes. Man, it is loud. And of course I had the Kragers. I think he sold those wheels, put some different wheels on them. I was going to buy them, but I had nothing to put them on. So, yep, old Pontiac Firebird. I don't know if that's the original paint. I think those sport stripes were not original. I don't know that though. But it had the makeshift cowl induction hood on it. Had the little snorkels up there at the top. Yeah. So, yeah, there it is with the, and that's not, it wasn't even functional. I was surprised. But, yeah, it wouldn't be much to modify that to make it work. So there you go. There's my collection, my car collection from over the years, and of course other cars as well that I've gotten to see, or you know, from times past. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Kind of a walk down memory lane. A lot of these pictures I haven't seen in a number of years, especially in my album here. So yeah, that's pretty much my entire history of vehicles that I've owned or been associated with. So hope you enjoyed it, and until the next thrilling video, adios.